I didn't know how to do any software programming at the time, but I really wanted to learn. And
Hmm.
so I convinced the big boss, my project manager's boss, to basically let me do this experiment. And the experiment was we had a high school project that we were pursuing. And just for some context, a brand new high school in California can cost around 150 to 200 million dollars to construct. So
Yeah, sounds
we're
about right.
talking a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you are the architecture firm, engineering firm that is responsible for building that, I mean, that is tens of millions or high single digit millions of work
Yep,
for, 2 to 3 years worth of work, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So it's a big deal. Obviously, you want to win. Now, the challenge is that most firms can generally do the same thing, right? At that level of like specific project, all firms are kind of the same. I mean, you might have a different designer and some might go slightly
Right.
better, but in general, they're all the same. So I was like, well, how can we stand out? And the idea was to show the school district that we were trying to think outside the box. And obviously, they care about their students. So I was like, well, why don't we make something for high school students to
Hmm.
kind of just show them that we are innovative thinkers? So I proposed this app that was called B, like BE, and it
Hmm.
was a Tinder for finding your future career. So basically, it had like little cards, and you could swipe left or right depending on whether you liked the career or not. And
Okay.
then it would show you like, oh, how much money can you make? How long do you have to go to school? All that kind of stuff if you tapped on the card and then it flipped over, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And anyway, Tinder was also very popular 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was
So,
a big thing back then. Sure. Yeah. Yep.
um, so the idea worked. Basically, the boss said yes, make it, and I was like, great, please buy me a MacBook. So they did.
Yeah.
Now, the kind of hard part was that I did not have the whole knowledge to make this thing. I knew
Right.
very,
You just
very
had an
little.
idea, right?
An idea and I designed it and I had fooled around before, but
Yeah.
nowhere near the amount of knowledge I needed to actually make it. So turns out this is actually a pretty common thing for software engineers. You very rarely start out with
Yeah.
100% of the knowledge that you need, but at the time it felt more risky.
It's like that, Josh, with a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know everything about where you're at right now, but it sure isn't where you started out going, right?
No,
So
definitely not.
most
No.
of the time it's that you're doing what you're doing and you're okay with it, but then like these sparks or you get ideas and it's usually something you have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
But you just get fired up enough about it and you just keep putting enough thought and brain power and eventually you just start doing it. I tell my son this all the time. Like he
Yeah.
wants to get from idea to doing it without the learning how to do it in between, or he thinks that he has to know everything about it before he can start.
Yeah. There's no
Right.
chance.
Right.
Almost anything really worth doing, you have to break down into small pieces.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
just no way.
So you got permission to do the app. They bought you a MacBook. Nice
Yeah.
job. That's a good. You're a pretty good salesman already.
Yeah.
And so now what? Did you just go out and try to start learning, or did you find
Oh
people to
yeah.
help you? Or
Yeah. Basically night and day. Like
yeah,
I would go to work on it, work, come home, work on it at home. I had the advantage that my wife was in grad school, so she was very busy.
yep.
So there was
She didn't
like,
need all of your attention yet.
no, there was definitely a lot of time. We didn't, don't have any kids or anything like that. We had two dogs, so that was it. So definitely a lot of time in the evenings to work on, well, starting
Yeah.
from scratch, really.
Yep.
And so I worked on that, and it actually went really well. So we launched in, what was it, like April 2017 or 16, excuse me,
Okay.
2016. And it went really well. I mean, we got on Product Hunt. Some people know what that is, like a directory for new software.
Yep.
We were on the front page of the Apple App Store. Like it was us and Justin Bieber like right next to each other.
Ooh,
So that
nice.
was a nice feeling
Riding
to
the
be like right
coattails
on the
of
top
Gabe's on
of
the App
that.
Store. Yeah.
And we got like 30 or 40,000 downloads in like a couple of weeks. So it took off. It
Yep.
was really good. And we were able to show it to the school district, and we got in like the local newspaper, like all this random stuff to get attention to it. So that was a real nice feeling where it quite literally went from nothing to something. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
there was no code written. Now 40,000 people are on the app,
Yep.
all in a matter of a few months. So that was a huge confidence booster
Yeah,
at the time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what did it
Uh,
do? What did it do for the firm as far as did it help out in the way you thought it would?
yeah. So yes and no. It did prove that we were thinking outside the box. It did bring
Yeah.
in kind of the marketing attention, all of that. I do think, though, in retrospect, the lesson learned is that you can do a lot of cool things, but unless there is a follow through and kind of a direct path from going from marketing idea to sale,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of it's hard. And even if there's not many people competing with you, it doesn't always necessarily come down to standing out. And so when we did the app and we had all the users, great. Now what?
Yeah.
It was still an architecture firm. They were never going to become a technology firm. I tried to pitch that we could like spin it out into its own thing and I could like lead it, but that didn't
Mm,
go anywhere. Obviously, it wasn't really making any money because it was a free app that was
right.
for high school students, so it didn't have any revenue plans. So it was like, well, what do we do with it now? And I think that's one of the early mistakes I made is like, okay, it's there. How can I leverage this to what comes next? And I was never able to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just being young, maybe inexperienced, maybe the exact circumstance, but was never able to transition that. And, a year or so after I created that app, I left that job because there was just nothing left. There was no path to go with that, and
Right.
so it just deteriorated, unfortunately.
Hey, folks, thanks for checking out this clip from the Business Line podcast. For more great clips, click here and click over here for full episodes.